Hello everyone, myself Pushpalata, Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, SJBIT Institute of Technology. Today we are going to discuss about computer communication networks. The beginning of this particular module includes data communication. In data communication, as per the prescribed syllabus, the textbooks which are to be referred are Data Communication and Networking by Behzad Ferozon. It is a 5th edition and 2016 TMH publication. And we also have a reference books like Computer Networks by James F. Curzo and Introduction to Data Communication and Networking by Wayne Tomasi, 2007 Pearson edition. In Module 1, we will be discussing about Introduction to Data Communication, different components and representations of the data flow, networks, basically the different types of networks, and also what is protocol, what is the different types of scenarios, principles, logical connections, and TCP/IP protocol suite, and how the layers are being layered in this particular architecture, and encapsulation, decapsulation techniques, multiplexing and demultiplexing concepts. Along with this, we will be discussing about the OSI model and the difference between the existing TCP/IP protocol suite and OSI model will be discussed. Let us discuss about the introduction of data communication. Data communication has changed the life of each and every individual. The way we do the business, the way we live, the entire lifestyle has been changed because of data communication. The business decisions, whatever we make, we do it more quickly. And even the decision makers require immediate access for any accurate information for which the communication has made it easy. Data communication also have found their way not only through business but also personal communication, like the appliances that what we use, the gadgets what we use have found many applications in political as well as social issues. Now people have found how to communicate from one place to another and they express their social and political opinions and problems. Now the communities are not isolated anymore. When we talk about data communication, we communicate by sharing some information. When we share the information could be shared maybe a local communication or a remote communication. If the information is between the individuals, we call it as local communication. If the information is over the place and it happens between long distance, then you consider it as the remote communication. The term telecommunication includes some of the examples like telephony, telegraphy, television, where tele stands for far. Communication stands for sharing the information at a far end. So when we talk about telecommunication, you are transferring the information to a far end distance. When we talk about the data communication, here the exchange of data happens between two devices via some form of transmission medium, maybe wired cable or wireless medium. The communicating devices must be a part of your communication system. So now when you talk about the physical equipment what we use and the programs what we write in order to perform the communication, the effectiveness of data communication basically depends on four fundamental characteristics. First one is delivery, accuracy, timeliness, and jitter. Let us discuss about the concepts of efficiency detection of data communication. To begin, first is the delivery. Now, whenever we are sending the data from one station to another station, the system which we are using as a communication system must deliver data to the correct destination. If the data received by the intended device or the right destination, then only you can consider that the delivery of the information has done to a right destination. The second parameter to consider the efficiency is the accuracy. If the communication system is able to deliver the data accurately, or you can call it as a correctly, okay, then the data has reached the destination without any disturbance or any alteration in the sent data. In case if the data has been altered during the transmission or left uncorrected, they are not being usable, or they so-called unusable at the receiver end. The third parameter is the timeliness. When we talk about the timeliness, the data must be delivered on time, or it must deliver the data in a timely manner. Whatever the data, if it is delivered late, are useless. In case of video and audio, if we don't deliver the data, audio and video in the same order as they are produced, then there could be a significant delay which occurs, and which may lead to the useless data, because of audio and video are not synchronizing and they are not being sent in the same order. So this happens actually in the real-time transmission, where the audio and video are sent simultaneously for the destination. The last parameter you can consider is the jitter. In case of communication networks, the jitter basically refers to the variation in the packet arrival time. It is the uneven delay in the delivery of audio or video packets. Say for example, assume that video packets which are sent every 30 milliseconds. If some of the packets arrive with 30 milliseconds delay, then others with 40 milliseconds delay, this uneven quality in the video is the result of a jitter which varies the time of the arrival of the packet. Now we talk about the various components which are involved in the data communication. There are 5 components to be named as the protocol, sender, receiver, a message, and the transmission medium. When I talk about the message is the useful information or the data which is to be communicated between the two ends. The message can be a text, number, picture, audio, and even a video also. Now this message has to be sent from the sender. Sender is a device which sends the data, and it can be any computer, workstation, telephone handset, video camera, anything that can be considered as a host device or a sender. The one which receives the information, you can call it as a receiver, and that device can be again a computer, a workstation, a telephone handset, a television, whatever it is. Now, in order to transfer the information, I should have a transmission medium. This transmission medium is the physical path by which the message travels from sender to receiver. Now, there are many transmission medium that can be considered, like twisted pair cable, coaxial cable, fiber optic cables, and sometimes even I can use the radio waves to communicate the information between the two ends. Protocol. Protocol is the fifth component in the communication system. Here the protocol is basically a set of rules that govern the data communication. It represents an agreement between the sender and the receiver, or the communicating devices. Without any protocol, the two devices looks like they are connected but not communicating. Just as if it is there are two persons, one speaking French cannot be understood by the person who speaks Japanese. So they are communicating, but actually the information has not been exchanged between the two persons. There are various ways that data can be represented. The information today comes in different forms like text, numbers, images, audio, and also video. If at all we are talking about the data in terms of text, text is represented as a bit pattern, and these bits can be 0 or 1. different sets of bit patterns, we can design it to represent any text symbol. Now when we talk about each pattern to represent a data, each set you call it as a code, and the process of representing these symbols you can call it as a coding. The data can also be in the form of numbers, and the numbers are represented by these bit patterns. The numbers directly can be converted into binary number, or even I can use to simplify some of the mathematical operations. The data can also be represented in terms of images, and these images are also being represented by the bit patterns. When we talk about the simplest form of an image, it comprises of a matrix of pixels, and each pixel looks like a small dot. The size of the pixel depends on the resolution. When we talk about an image, it can be divided into 1000 pixels or 10,000 pixels or even more. But when we consider the number of pixels is more, then we can tell that there is a better representation of the image. But when we talk about more pixels, better resolution, but more memory is required to store that specific image which has more number of pixels. When an image is divided into pixels, each pixel is assigned a bit pattern, and the size and the value of the pattern depend on the image type. There are several methods that I can represent a color image. One of the method you can call it as RGB, which stands for red, green and blue. So called because each color is made up of the combination of those three primary colors. And the intensity of each color which is measured, and that particular bit pattern is assigned to the pixel. And we have another method which is called as YCM, and this is the color combination made up of the three primary colors like yellow, cyan and magenta. So the data can be measured, the data can be represented in the form of an image, and each image could be of any type of representation like RGB or YCM. The data can also be in the form of an audio, and this audio is the recording or broadcasting of sound or any music. Now when we talk about audio, it is continuous and we don't represent it as a discrete value. Even when we use a microphone to change the voice or music to an electrical signal, we try to create a continuous signal which is represented as an audio signal. And the data can also be taken in the form of a video. This is also referred to as a recording or a broadcasting of a picture or a movie. And video can either be produced as continuous entity, or sometimes it can be a combination of images where each discrete entity arranged to convey the idea of motion. When we talk about the data flow, in the communication between two devices, the communication can happen in three different ways. First is simplex communication, half duplex communication, or even the full duplex communication. To begin with, simplex mode of communication, here the information between two devices is unidirectional, as only one device can transfer the information to other. It is just like a one-way street. Only the two devices on the link can transmit the image, and other can only receive the image or information. The better example what we can choose is the keyboards and the traditional monitors. They are the examples of simplex devices. The keyboard can only send the input and the monitor can only accept the output. The simplex mode can use the entire capacity of the channel to send the data only in one direction. That is why this type of communication, you call it as very much as the simplex mode of communication. When I talk about the next type of communication is the half duplex communication. Here, in this case, each station, that is the sender and the receiver, both can transmit and receive, but not at the same time. Only one device can send at a time and the other device only can receive. Similarly, it is vice versa. The half duplex mode is like one-lane road with traffic allowed in both the direction. Say for example, when cars are traveling in one direction, cars going the other way must wait. So in half duplex communication, the entire capacity of the channel is taken over by the two devices which is transmitting at that specific time. The best example for this you can consider as the walkie-talkies. In case of walkie-talkie, the person who is talking only can transfer the information, the other can only listen, and simultaneously cannot be information cannot be exchanged between the two ends. The half duplex mode is basically used in cases where there is no need for the communication to happen in both the directions at the same time. And also the entire capacity of the channel can be utilized for each direction separately. The last type of communication we have is the full duplex communication. In full duplex communication, both stations can transmit and receive the information simultaneously. The full duplex is like a two-way street with traffic flowing in both directions at the same time. In full duplex mode, signals going in one direction share the entire capacity of the link with signals going in the other direction. This sharing can occur in two ways. Either the link must contain two physically separate transmission paths, one for sending, other for receiving, or the capacity of the channel must be divided between the two directions because the signal which is traveling in both directions need to share the capacity of the channel. One best example for the full duplex communication, we can consider it as a telephone network. In case of telephone network, when two people are communicating by a telephone line, both can talk and listen at the same time. And also, in case of full duplex mode, when communication in both direction is required and in full duplex mode, whenever the communication is happening in both the direction, the entire capacity of the channel must be divided between the two directions, that is sender and the receiver. These are the three different types of communication like simplex, half duplex and full duplex mode of communication. Let us talk about the next concept called networks. What exactly is a network? Network is considered to be the interconnection of set of devices which are capable of communicating each other. Here, a device can be a host. You can call it as a larger computer, desktop, laptop, workstation, cellular phone, or even any security system. You can consider it as a device. A device can also be a connecting device like a router or a switch or a modem. In case of a switch, this connects devices together like two devices together. If you talk about the router connects the two networks, and a modem is like a modulator and demodulator which changes the data from one form of data to another form. So these devices in the network are connected using a wired or wireless transmission medium such as cable, or even the wireless transmission medium could be air. Now let us discuss about the network criteria. In case of a network must be able to meet a certain number of criteria, and they are listed as performance, reliability and security. When we talk about performance, performance can be measured in many ways, including transit time and response time. What exactly is transit time? Transit time is it's an amount of time which is required for a message to travel from one device to another device. Then what exactly response time is? It is the time between the inquiry and the response of a message is called as response time. Now the performance of a network, it not only depends only on the transit time and the response time, but also it depends on many other number of factors, such as it may include number of users, the type of transmission medium, and the capabilities of the connected hardware, and also the efficiency of the software. The performance also, it is a trade-off with respect to the delay, which we will discuss in the next slide. So when we talk about the performance, it is often evaluated with respect to the two metrics. One is throughput and also delay. When throughput is more, then the delay will be very less. But both are contradictory, and if we try to send more data in the network, we may increase the throughput, but there may be increase in the delay because of the traffic congestion which happens in the network. Now the second criteria of the network performance parameter is reliability. Reliability is basically it's a measure of frequency of failure. How long the device is durable or how long the network is durable. The time it takes a link to recover from a failure and the network's robustness in a catastrophe. So this is considered to be the reliability. When we talk about the security, network security issues include protecting the data from unauthorized access and protecting the data from damage in the development. But whenever we are considering their security, the implementing of policies and procedures for recovery from breaches and data losses need to be considered. And also network security is the greatest, it's an important parameter in today's internet world. There are different physical structures in a network. Depending on the type of connection, a network consists of two or more devices which are connected through links. What is a link? Link is a communication pathway which transfers the data from one device to the another device. In a communication or a system where the communication is happening between two devices, they must be connected in some way to the same link at the same time. In order to perform this connectivity between the two devices, there are two possible types of connections exists. One is point-to-point connection, another one is multi-point connection. Let us discuss about point-to-point connection. In case of a point-to-point connection, it provides a dedicated link between two devices. In this connection, the entire capacity of the link is shared between those two devices only. And most of the connections using point-to-point, they use the actual length of the wire or cable to connect to the two ends of the device. Whenever we change the television channels by infrared remote control, we are establishing a point-to-point connection between the remote control and the television system, and this could be considered as an example of a point-to-point connection where a dedicated link is established between the two ends. We have multi-point connection. In case of multi-point connection, here the connection is the one which more than two specific devices share the single link. In a multi-point environment, the capacity of the channel is shared either spatially or temporally. What is exactly spatially? If several devices use the link simultaneously, it is a spatially shared connection. If the users take the turns, then it is time shared connection.